I heard you say that a lot of young men nowadays only know how to give and receive love through sex. I felt a little pointed out when you said that. So I'd love to know, how does one learn how to receive love through other methods? And I really want to make it easier for my wife to love me. A while ago, I heard you say that a lot of young men nowadays only know how to give and receive love through sex. That I felt a little pointed out when you said that. So I'd love to know, how does one learn how to receive love through other methods? You said it was. I think you've said in the past it's effectively the only tool in their toolkit.
Yes.
And for example, I definitely love words of affirmation, but nothing gives me those feelings of love like sex does. And I really want to make it easier for my wife to love me, because sex is and has been difficult for us.
Oh, man. Oh, gosh. You're not, I say you're not. You sound like a love languages guy.
Yes, a little bit.
Okay. So I don't believe like in the takedown, like there's whole like podcasts and authors and whatever that their whole life is just all they do is go around and take down other people. So I'm not really into that. I will say that I think the love language phenomenon, the 5 love languages and all of the various whatevers, it's fine as a aha and as a good conversation moment between partners, and it can be cool to like be reflective. But it's not real. And I think we end up, sometimes those love languages get weaponized as you have to do this because this is the only way that I am programmed. And if you don't do this, then you're choosing to not love me. Instead of it being like, yeah, like I have a bent this way or I kind of lean this way. So tell me about what love looks like in your house. You got kids?
Yeah, I got 3 boys. I am extremely affectionate with them. I would say more so that than anything else. My wife is a little bit more. She seems to enjoy quality time with them, and is always pushing me to spend more quality time with them and try to speak their love languages. But I mean, as far as what love looks like, that's about it. We try to say nice things to our kids too, like, proud of them, think that they're awesome, etc.
What does love look like for you?
I guess I think, like I said, it feels like sex. And my wife would say nice things to me, and that feels nice. But
then you're like, okay, prove it.
Yeah, it kind of. It almost feels like. And
you're not crazy.
We're going upstairs now.
yeah, exactly. Like, oh, you look really nice today. It's like, oh, sweet. You just want to take your shirt off. I get that. I totally get it. I'm trying to do this in a way that I can also teach at the same time instead of just pulling apart your situation. So that, because I know, like, I'm really grateful that you called, because millions and millions of men experience this, and on the other side, millions and millions of spouses experience trying to love with 3 kids. How old are your boys?
3, 5, and 8.
Good gosh, so you haven't felt loved in a long time, have you? Yeah.
No.
Tell me about growing up for you.
My father was pretty intense, I'll say. My mother was very loving and kind of tried to protect us from his outbursts, I'll say. So love was kind of avoiding my father and leaning into that relationship with my mother.
Okay. Whew, man, you are you're helping a lot of people by being honest. What did high school romance look like for you?
I was a serial monogamist.
Okay.
I had long relationships, but a lot of them.
Yes.
And
very deep, very fast.
I wouldn't say deep,
okay.
But
no, and I mean, like this. Did you fall hard?
Yeah. Oh, and I was always the one who loved more than the other. Even now in my relationship, I'm the adorer.
Okay.
So, and my wife is the adored, and every single girlfriend I had ever had, I fell harder than they did.
Yes. Okay.
It's almost embarrassing to think about it, honestly.
Well, so I get that, but also I want to step back and, I don't know, dude. If I let myself, it's a rainy day here in Nashville. It's kind of just a gray day. And so it's just one of those days where I just on the way to work, I was a little extra introspective just because of the weather. And I listened to like moody music kind of thing. I can get choked up. Here's why. I'm thinking about a little boy who so desperately wants to be seen and known and hugged by his old man. And is constantly having to be rescued by mom, by this maternal figure. And I'm looking at a little boy who goes off a cliff every time somebody gives him a little bit of attention, not because there's something wrong with him or it's embarrassing, but because he's desperate for oxygen.
Yeah.
And he falls hard. Breakups are really hard within 24 hours. Instead of mourning that, dude, I love a good middle school or high school like crush. I love them. But instead of mourning it and being sad like you're supposed to, and you get quote unquote dumped, right? You're right onto the next because this is a matter of survival for your little nervous system because home's not safe. And the challenge is, and again, the challenge is, it's really easy for you guys to get in a dance, especially with a chaotic house like you have. I need this. This is my love language. I need sex. I need this to feel loved. So your wife loves you, and she puts you on a chore list.
Yeah.
We got to get
that's exactly how it is.
We got to get the boys fed. We got to get the boys done here. We got to do this. You get the yard mowed. I gotta get him off, and then I can go do this, and then I can go to sleep. And what she does when she moves you to a chore list, she becomes your mom.
Yeah.
Right? She becomes a person. You become yet another thing that she's got to take care of that day. And so the reason I don't like the love languages other than just a flyby reflective tool is it puts people on chore lists and it avoids the harder conversation, the more vulnerable conversation, which is you looking at her saying, I want you. How can I love you today? And that all covers up the deeper question, which is most of the men running around needing, as they say, and by the way, men don't need sex. You need oxygen, food, and water. What we really want to say that we're terrified to say is, I want you. I want to be with you. I have all kinds of crazy, dirty thoughts about you. I want you. But when we say we want something and we don't, and someone says, I'm not going to give that to you, that's so devastating that we then dump it into this, well, I need it. I have to have, right? And so the ultimate question I have to ask, are you wondering, becomes, why doesn't somebody love me? Because when you outsource it to a physical act, it's basically a little kid asking, will you prove it? Will you prove it? Will you prove it?
Yeah.
And when you get a group of guys, and I'm all about getting a group of guys and meet with, I talk about that all the time, you have to have that. But if the group of guys just sit around and it's this iron sharpens iron happens through action. It doesn't happen around like, so what did you do? Are you struggling with this? What are your struggles? Like, well, let's talk, like, you get what I'm saying? Because it just becomes a one-up. It becomes, it's trying to hack your way around, do we have to go do stuff together? We have to share a common purpose and mission. And I would be willing to bet there's a lot of secrets held at that table. Fair?
Yes. Yeah, I think so.
And you might be the open one, which is awesome. But I've never seen one of those groups where someone doesn't sit down and be like, hey, I'm cheating on my wife. And it stuns everybody. Or I've been an alcoholic for 3 years. Everyone's like, what? And they don't know. Now again, it's not every group. But backing all the way out, let me ask you this. You, Adam, why don't you feel like you're lovable? What is it about you?
Yeah, I don't know. I think like intellectually, I feel like I like everybody should love me. Like I'm pretty much a people pleaser.
Yeah. But hold on, you had to be. You had to be.
Yeah.
That was a survival skill.
Yeah. And I was the guy that you say the trauma response of getting good grades. I was that guy.
Yeah.
And was pretty. I generally been successful at everything I put my hand and my mind to, and I'm also just like, I got a silver tongue. I'm good at talking to people. Yeah. Like everybody really seems to think, even at work, people seem to think I walk on water, but for whatever reason, I can't. Like I've said to my wife in the past, the one person I want to love me, I feel like doesn't. And that's her, right? I want her to love me. Everybody else thinks I'm fantastic. And for some reason, I can't get her to love me.
Okay, but she's the last one that sees you.
Yeah. She sees all my crap.
But my guess is she looks at you and says, I made 3 humans with you. I make sure this house is running. I make sure, like, in her mind, like, how else do you want me to love you? And what I'm be willing to bet is there's a constant escalation. Love look like this. Like, can we just make out? Love look like, can we sleep together? Love look like, and increasingly let's ramp up the novelty of our sex. Yeah,
you're absolutely right.
But that's not about her.
She's going to scream when she listens to that.
Well, here's the thing. It's you chasing a ghost. Will you do a quick experiment with me, or a quick exercise with me?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, I want you to close your eyes.
Okay.
And I want you to picture yourself sitting down in a chair in a completely empty room. And there's one other chair in that room, and it's about 4 feet from you, facing you.
Okay.
Your old man walks in and sits down. And I want you to picture.
John.
I want you to picture him sitting down. What do you say to him? You can say anything. You can ask him anything.
Why was it so difficult to be nice to me?
No, that was Silver Tongue Adam.
Why won't you love me?
No, you're just answering that because you want me to answer that. What would you say?
I really think that's what I'd say. I think I would say to him, you were a jerk to me as a kid.
Okay.
Why was it so difficult for you to be a kind person? I care so much about kindness now.
Talk to him.
I feel like you were nice to everybody else. And everybody else thought you were a nice guy. And everybody I've met nowadays thinks that you're a nice guy and doesn't understand me when I say that you were a jerk to me when I was a kid. Why did you treat me like that?
Keep going.
Why did you treat mom like that? Why did you treat my sister like that? I don't understand where this why you feel like it's acceptable to behave like a child to me and my family. No, I don't know. I think that's it. That's all I'd say.
Now, I want you to do something even harder. Imagine you're 10. I want you to look down with your eyes closed and your feet aren't touching the floor. And you see your little feet kicking. I don't know what kind of shoes you wore. I wore little Converse All-Stars when I was a kid. I want you to look at whatever shoes you're kicking, and I want you to look back up and see your dad. What does 10-year-old Adam ask your old man?
I don't know. I mean, beyond everything I've already said, I don't know what else I would say.
Okay. Probably something simple like, Dad, can we go outside? Hey, Daddy, will you not hit me anymore? Hey, Dad, can you just get off the couch? Can we go play? Look, Dad, I took my shirt in for you. Look, Dad, look. I got another one of those special numbers on this piece of paper that you want so bad. Am I good enough now?
I think back to when I was a kid, I did not want to play with my dad. I had no interest in being around him. It was, and my dad didn't hit me, but he was just very verbally abusive. And I just stayed away. I hid to survive, you know?
Yeah. So here's, you're, I guess I'd say, man, is you're not broken, but you have a lot of healing to do. And here's where it is. You've been trying to ROI. You've been trying to solve for that question. And our culture gives us a playbook of lies that are supposed to solve that question. What was so bad about me? What's so bad about mom? What was so bad about me? I was freaking 9. I was 13. Why did you come home so angry all the time? And culture says you can show them by making this much money. You can show them by having everybody like you. You can show them by being the go-to guy. When anything goes wrong, we're going to call out him because he'll be here to solve it.
Yeah.
And then you marry somebody, and she thinks she won the lottery with a smooth-talking, good-looking, solve everything, good grades, going to make us some money and keep me safe guy.
Mm-hmm.
And then you realize all of these other things don't work, and so increasingly you put it on her shoulders to solve it. And it's, I want to have kids. Okay, cool. Let's have 3. I want to do this. Okay, cool. I want to move here. Cool. Let's move again because I just got a new promotion. Okay, cool. Let's do this. I want to get this car. This will help. And eventually it all comes down to, you must prove that you love me. And that is why the 5 love languages, the Myers-Briggs, the Enneagram stuff, I don't like them because they become weapons. You will do this, or it will give me it will finally prove to me why my dad didn't love me because I'm unlovable because you won't even do what I'm saying. Or quote unquote, what I need. And I need you to hear me say, dude, all of this stuff is an extra, you're trying to take external wallpaper and cover up an internal hole. It's the size of Kansas inside your chest. And I'll just tell you now, she can't fill it.
Yeah.
What
do I do next?
Yeah, exactly. Well, I got a couple of things for you. One is the practical. I want you to do the bravest thing you've probably ever done. I want you to go sit with somebody and be honest. And there's some stuff that you can tell the guys that you sit at a table with. You can tell something to a counselor that I promise you will make their toes curl. Fair?
Maybe. I don't know.
You can.
I've lived a pretty boring life.
Yeah. And then the second part is, I want you to sit down with your wife and begin to have conversations about want, play, laughter. We often exchange excitement for joy. We think we're chasing this excitement. And if we're good men, we dump all that on one person. It's just a lot. What brings you joy? What gives you peace in your heart? Is sex a part of that? Of course it is. Is adventurous, novel sex a part of that? Of course it is. But if that's the end aim, I'm promising you, nobody can hold that. We have a culture that's been melted by that message. So,
yeah.
your wife is blessed, and it's honorable that she has a husband that just wants her all the time. But I also promise you, she feels that you don't want her to be together. You want her because she's feeling it. You want her like a Xanax.
Yeah.
And that's not sex. That's numbing. That is so I don't have to feel unloved in my own skin. And I wish there was another way other than grief demands a witness, you sitting with another person, preferably a trained person, but maybe these guys are your guys. And you can sit down and have like the deep, hard, I got to be seen. Here's a couple of easy things you can do in a day. Have the brakes and gas pedals conversation. I want you and your wife to read Emily Nagoski's, what's the name of that book? I just lost it.
Come As You Are.
Come As You Are. That's right. Y'all read that book together. Read that book together. And I want y'all to have some conversation. And it will be super, super comically awkward in all the best ways. Emily's a great writer, but she gets right to it, man. And I want y'all to begin to ask questions like, how can I love you? What does love look like in this moment today? And on and on and on. And the sex will come, and I'm telling you, this is wild. Sex will be different. It will be deeper and more fulfilling in a wild way. And it will be what kind of sex you want to have tonight, and what are you into? And it becomes something. It becomes an act of play and an act of escape, not an act of desperation. It's the greatest sex you'll ever have, because it won't be survival sex. It will be together, two people, two great friends who are like, dude, it's on tonight. I'm proud of you, man, for making that call. When we get off the phone, I want you to pick up a phone book in your local area, and I want you to call somebody, preferably. It doesn't matter what the gender is, but call a therapist and sit down and start having those hard conversations. Today's day one, brother.